Welcome to Dr. Bingo Fairmont's Management Minute. Dr. Fairmont is not here today. He has reported to Bradenton, Florida, where he is going to get a tryout for the Pittsburgh Pirates. I believe he's trying out as a relief pitcher for the Pirates, and they probably could use him.
That's what I heard.
What I heard about their last season. So we'll see if he's successful or not. But either way, Dr. Russell Clayton and I, Dr. Adam Shoemaker, are here to represent. Coming to you from the St. Leo University Donald R. Tapia School of Business. And Russell, how are you doing today?
I am good, Shu. Let me ask you this.
Yes.
Based on Dr. Fairmont's whereabouts, he's down there playing baseball while we're here working.
Man.
If you could be a backup, not that a relief pitcher is necessarily a backup, but if you could be a backup for any of the big three, big four professional sports leagues, what would you choose and why?
Wow. You know what I think would be great would be to be a kicker in the NFL.
Yeah.
That's the star, man. He doesn't have to exert himself. He's not going to get tackled 9 times out of 10.
Right.
Sometimes he sneaks around and makes that conversion, and you can be the hero and save the game by a point or by a field goal. That's the way to go, man.
There you go. And you get paid well to do it.
And you do pretty well. Some of those guys do all right. Yeah. What about you?
I think I would like to be the third string quarterback on an NFL team.
Now, here's my question: do the third string guys get paid very much? Because the stars, of course, get millions and options and bonuses. But does your third string guy, is he just struggling to make ends meet at the end of the day?
Well, as an HR guy, you'll be glad to know that the NFL is unionized.
Okay.
And as part of their union bargain agreement, they have minimum salaries. The minimum salary hovers around $500,000 a year.
Holy crap.
Even for the third string quarterback.
Is that affecting their whole salary cap issue?
It is.
Oh, so maybe they need to rethink some of that, because how often does the third string quarterback play?
None, which is why I'd want to be it. You don't get tackled, and I get to collect $500,000 a year.
But you don't get to do all those Coke and Budweiser commercials, though.
Good point. Good point.
I know you like those.
Good point.
Anyway, today's topic is lifelong learning, and I know that, Russell, you found an article in Harvard Business Review by John Coleman that talks about why lifelong learning is important. And, I mean, we know that as college professors. That's what we kind of have to do to make sure that we stay current. We're taking classes, we're reading literature, we're studying and looking at scholarly work. So maybe can you tell us about some of the benefits for non-academics? Do other people benefit from lifelong learning as well?
Oh, definitely. And I think that was Coleman's point, is and again, you admitted our bias. We, as professors, we sort of have to take part in this lifelong learning thing to keep current in our jobs.
Just stay in that ivory tower where it's safe.
Right. Never come out.
Nope.
But for those who are not in academics, who maybe would tend to think, why do I need to keep learning? And we'll talk about some of these learning options in a few minutes. But why do I need to do this? Well, Coleman lays out several thoughts on why it's important, and I want to mention a couple. One, I think it's the most obvious. It's economic, and as it pertains to formal education, we know that the more formal education we have, typically the more money we're going to make. I think that one's a pretty obvious one, but he goes even deeper beyond citing a study that shows that, and he goes a little deeper and says, our landscape is changing. The world is changing. Industries are changing. We need to always be ready to learn and to grow so that we can change with it.
Because if you don't, you won't stay employed.
Right.
If you don't keep your skills current and your knowledge current,
you'll get left behind. So economically, just the fact of, hey, can I keep my job? Can I keep up? And if you're already participating in lifelong learning, it's going to make it that much easier to acquire those new skills or trades that your industry requires. A second one that really hit home with me was health. All right, how is lifelong learning going to affect our health? Well, he pointed to a study that showed that cognitive activity, so in other words, reading, studying, learning a new skill, can delay Alzheimer's symptoms. Now, it doesn't cure Alzheimer's, but it delays the symptoms.
Well, do you believe that would be true if you're doing the cognitive activity just for pleasure, like you're reading Dan Brown novels versus, textbooks, or, you're reading the New York Times crossword puzzle versus a trade journal or a scholarly journal? Do you think that would still work in delaying Alzheimer's?
I believe so.
Different?
I believe so.
Okay.
And I think this certainly, all of this that we're talking about under the umbrella of lifelong learning doesn't have to be job specific. So if you're doing crossword puzzles just for the fun of it, I think that's enough cognitive activity that's for fun, that's going to help us.
They don't have to be discipline-specific crossword puzzles.
Exactly. we don't have to have HR crossword puzzles.
Because you can go down to the dollar store and get a book of like HR crossword puzzles, accounting crossword puzzles, supply chain management crossword puzzles.
Oh, that just sounds terrible. All right, another study that Coleman points out, and being that this was in the Harvard Business Review, he did lean on some peer-reviewed studies, which I thought was great. He found one from Cutler and Laris Mooney, which I probably just destroyed the second author's name, but they found that for every year of formal education, it added about half a year to a person's lifespan.
Wow, that's amazing.
So for those of us with PhDs, that means we're going to be around a while.
That's good news.
Settle in. All right, a third way that lifelong learning can benefit us is just personal and professional benefits. And what Coleman means about that is he shares an anecdote where he says that if you think about going to a party, or you thinking about you're at a social gathering, and that person who is full of curiosity, who is probably happier, those are the people who have spent their time in cognitive activity of some sort. Now, that's anecdotal evidence. But what he's pointing to is if I'm sitting around watching trashy reality TV versus if I'm sitting around maybe reading books or taking a class online, I can still watch a little bit of trashy TV. But if that's not my primary diet of fun, is sitting on the couch watching TV, I am likely, anecdotally, to be happier, a little more curious about life, and seeking out that kind of information. What do you think?
I think that probably is true, and I think at least you're going to have something that you can talk about at that cocktail party. If you meet somebody who says, well, I know about this, and you have learned a little bit about that, then you can have a conversation rather than saying, well, I don't know, I was just trying to catch up on Honey Boo Boo or whatever.
Right. Yeah. Which is a fantastic show. Shu,
I've never seen it, but I'll take your word for it.
Shu, if Dr. Fairmont were here, right now he's throwing fastballs down in Bradenton, but if he were here, what would he tell us about maybe some ways that we could seek out lifelong learning opportunities?
That's a great question, and I think really what he's going to say is keep learning. So how do you do that? You do reading. You read in your discipline. Certainly read for pleasure as well, but read in your discipline. Think about taking classes to maybe advance yourself, whether it's to get a degree or a certificate, or even if it's not for credit. And of course, again, we do have a bias. We'd like you to come and take classes and be involved in academics and things like that. But I think that's a great way to learn and grow as well. And if you don't want to take that kind of a class, maybe consider taking a MOOC. So tell us a little bit about MOOCs.
Sure. MOOC stands for Massive Open Online Courses. And these are courses that are generally free or minimal cost for most of them.
Okay.
And they're online. Now, they're not college credit, so you're not going to get a transcript at the end, but some of the most prestigious colleges in the world host these MOOCs.
That's right.
Harvard, MIT, Cal Berkeley, all have MOOCs, all have classes that you can take for free. I took one a couple of summers ago from Case Western Reserve on emotional intelligence.
Cool.
It was completely free. It was self-guided. It simply was just a learning opportunity. That's something I think Dr. Fairmont would say, hey, listeners, check out the MOOCs.
You're right. And you know what? I took a MOOC a couple years ago as well. Not related to the discipline, but as you know, I love film. And so I took a MOOC from a guy who's a professor of film at Indiana University. And this is something he just feels passionate about. And he did a whole course, like an 8-week course on film noir, like those old gangster films of the 30s and 40s. And that's a big thing that he was interested in.
That's awesome.
Yeah, really cool. It's a great opportunity to just learn something new. Keep learning.
There you go. Well, I think that's about all the time we have for today. We're going to sign off now. We would encourage our listeners to check in with us via SoundCloud, via iTunes. We want to thank St. Leo University. We'd like to thank the Donald R. Tapia School of Business for letting us record here in the sound booth. We'd like to thank bensound.com for our intro, outro music. I'd like to thank Sean Gibbons. We couldn't do this without his help. He's been a huge help this term. And if you see Dr. Fairmont, please tell him that Shu and Russell are looking for him.
I hear he's got a heck of a curveball. Man.
A swing and a miss.